Chapter 1. Learning to Fly. His eyes darted from left to right, staring at the strange pictures on the sides of his crib. Were they real? Could they talk? Did not fully know if the images next to him were real, whatever that meant. But it did not matter to him, because he only wanted to have a conversation. Alexander James Milone had a lot to talk about. So much that he fell asleep to the distant noises and lights above and around him, which, unbeknownst to him, were the cries and whines of overly emotional adults admiring this new life that had only entered the world 8 months ago. The images of the cartoon mouse scaling his bed filled the mind and distracted his thoughts. What could I talk about next? Alex thought to himself, his growing conscience always thinking and expanding beyond its current state, absorbing the sights and sounds around him. Will they be there when I get back, he thought. I want to tell them about these things called lights, Alex's first word. As he drifted into a temporary, comforting darkness, his parents stood in the doorway, watching their son as they did every night for 8 months. You ever seen him talk to Mickey Mouse cartoons on the side of his bed? His mother asked. Yes, I have, said his father. It's the strangest thing, but he loves to talk to them, so they stay. Till he wakes up at 3 in the morning crying. You can pick him up, right? Both parents smiled at each other, and they went off entertaining their guests before the night ended, and they found the comfort of the temporary darkness. A cold breeze glided over Alex from the cracks in the chipped white windows of Alex's room. He woke up with a jolt, bouncing out of bed and rubbing his eyes like he slept for ages, running around in Wonderland. He looked down at his feet and saw the bright red one-piece zip-up pajama with the grip underfoot and remembered the date. Jumped out of his bunk where Max slept like a rock in the forest, dense and unwilling to move. Max laid there, his almost identical pair of pajamas, only blue in color and smaller in size. After all, there were almost 3 years difference in the boys' ages. Alex knew that Max did not have the hang of the Christmas thing anyway. He planned his scheme to open his presents because that was Alex's favorite part of the day. Though Alex boasted his selfishness to himself, he loved his brother and wanted to give him a fair shot at this day. That comes when the outside cools and all the leaves fall from the apple tree in the backyard, and the white glittering snow falls on the fort by the leftover wood boards from the construction in the fall. Max! Alex shook Max gently, yet with enough force to cause one eye to open. Get up! I think there are presents downstairs. Max looked up at his glee-filled brother and gave a big humph and slowly shut one green eye, wandering back into Wonderland. Suit yourself, Alex thought to himself as he proceeded to turn the old black doorknob on the old white creaky door in his room. The hallways were still dark, and he knew where he needed to go. If anything creaked in the house, it was the winding staircase down to the living room, where he and Max had decorated the tree just a few days ago. He proceeded slowly, acting with stealth and precision, containing within his 6-year-old body. With his trusty blanket, appropriately named Blanky, at his side, he reached the living room, which was pitch dark, except for the Christmas tree. A star stood atop the celebrated branches, shining bright like a real star. The lights around the tree reflected off the red, green, and gold beads that wrapped around in a downward spiral, with the ornaments that he had made in class a few weeks ago, hung for all to see. Just seeing that star shining bright through the blackness of the dark room kindled a flame in Alex's heart. A hope that he needed at the moment. Didn't need at the moment, but a hope that lives within his entity, his proper being or form. Alex knew now that everything around him that existed contained within it goodness and beauty that surpassed a sensory image that his eyes transmitted to his brain. He saw a piece of God in that star. Alex woke up when his parents came down with Max. The sun was reflecting off the white snow that had spread over the dead grass overnight, making looking out the window very cumbersome. Alex, did you notice the cookies and carrots have been eaten? His father exclaimed, pointing to a stool in front of the television. Out of the 3 cookies that had been there, 2 were gone and 1 had a large bite in it, and of course all the carrots were nibbled on. This house had no fireplace. There stood only a gold-painted radiator in the back corner. Alex and Max's stockings hung from a knob on the cabinet that held the television. "Mommy, how does Santa get in here if we don't have a fireplace?" Alex asked with his slightly lisp speech. "Santa has a way of getting in through the doors. It does not disturb anyone. He parks his reindeer on the deck and comes through the back door, probably," his mother said in a surprised but calm tone, which meant, "How does he know? How does he come up with such questions at this early hour?" His father started to play the radio. He played "Learning to Fly" by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, a song that Alex, at 7 years old, knew all the words to. "I'm learning to fly around the clouds. What goes up must come down." Alex sang with his father over and over. Alex pondered those lyrics while adjusting his position to find his presents under the tree. "I want to learn to fly," he thought. When he asked his father he wanted to learn to fly, his father replied, "You are already learning to fly, Alex. Someday you will be off and away, flying wherever you want." Alex smiled at the thought of literal flying through the sky, to school, to his friends' houses, even though his father flashed forward in time to when he had grown up and ready to go to college. His father sat with his bed head and his gray sweatshirt and smiled. Alex helped Max open his presents, and opened his own presents. After receiving Pokemon Red version for the Game Boy Color, Alex and his family got ready to voyage down to Easton, Massachusetts, and then all the way down to West Haven, Connecticut, to see his relatives. All throughout the car ride, all he could think about was flying wherever he wanted. Alex lifted his head from his table in Mrs. Numberg's 3rd grade classroom. James, a small-statured, smart boy sitting next to him, flicked him a couple of times. "Alex, let's go. It's time for recess," James said in his excited yet seemingly sarcastic tone. All right, I'm coming," said Alex, lazily scrounging his things together to put them in his locker outside so he could go out for the 30-minute recess. There was snow on the ground, so no one was allowed outside without snow pants. Alex jumped into his black snow pants and rubber boots and threw on his LL Bean jacket, with red mittens just in case it was really cold. The frigid air hit his warm face right as he stepped out of the big green doors of the school. He didn't mind the cold, because the cold and the snow made him want to go skiing with his dad, like they do every few weekends in the winter. He ran over and found his friends from the other class that ran outside before him. "Hey, Alex, want to build a fort?" James asked as a noticeable shiver cut through some of his words. "All right, sure," Alex said agreeably, "but I want to find Drew, too." "You still going on about her?" James asked in exasperation. "She's a girl, and not the smartest girl at that," he criticized. "She's smart. She's really pretty, too," Alex retorted in a calm voice, almost as to try to convince James that he wasn't completely insane. "Do you have a crush on her, you think?" "Yeah, I think I do, but..." "Do you think she knows?" James cut in. I don't know, but I think I like her like that." "You think you would kiss her?" James exclaimed, started to pick up snow and pack it together in a snowball. "I don't know. I've never kissed someone before." "I heard it's all wet and slobbery when you do it on the lips." As the 2 boys continued packing snow together, a small, skinny girl wearing a pink jacket with 2 long braids with 2 blue balls at the end of each braid walked up to them. She was accompanied by her 2 friends who stood behind her, waving at Alex. "Hey, Alex." "Hi, Drew," Alex said, smiling and shying away. "Saw you were building a fort and I wanted to help." "No thanks, girls," James butted in from behind Alex. All of a sudden, Alex felt a shock of cold pain on his face. A burning sensation ensued and Alex hit the ground. He clenched his eyes closed and tried to not make a sound because he knew Drew and everyone else was watching. Oh, what a fool he must look like. All of a sudden he felt warm. The pain on his left cheek had gone away and was replaced by a sensation of blissfulness. He felt transported, like he now inhabited a different place. There was warmth all around him. Alex Malone's heart skipped a beat. As he came back down from his own personal nirvana, he slowly opened his eyes and touched his cheek. The warmth was fading, but it lingered there for a brief moment. Alex wanted to put this moment into a glass case and just experience it forever. As he opened his eyes, he looked around. He could not find Drew anywhere. "Dude, you just got hit in the head with a snowball. Are you alright?" James exclaimed, animating the last few seconds to Alex. Seconds that felt like minutes to hours. Alex could not speak. Alex could only smile because he had realized what had happened to him in the 5 seconds he lay in the ground at recess. All he could do was smile. "Alex?" James asked, poking him to make sure he could still move. "Yeah, I'm okay," Alex said, smiling. "I think I was just flying."